Hello, hello, hello. Be not afraid. It is time to do today's afternoon Bible study and devotional. Today we're going to be jumping into Deuteronomy chapter 13, a warning against idolatry. So I invite you to read along with me as we continue our journey through the entire Bible, one chapter at a time. So, as you guys are turning to Deuteronomy chapter 13, sorry, my mouth is a little sore today. You can go to BibleGateway.com or the Bible app if you don't have a physical Bible. But, I like me a physical Bible. So, if you don't have one and you'd like one, send me a private message. I'd love to hook you up with one. I'm reading out of the New Living Translation. So, yeah. Last time, the Lord's chosen place for worship is what we read. Kind of foreshadowing the coming temple, where the priests and the high priest and everything would go and when the sacrifices would get done. Just kind of foreshadowing there's a plan to do that, which then reminded me on how when Jesus was crucified, we can worship him anywhere, including online like this. But as they were establishing, the promised land, having this one place for them to go and do the sacrifices and do their main worship was established, and that was something that was honored all the way up to Jesus' time. But in there, there was that whole you can worship me or other gods. Those other gods lead to some pretty horrific things. And I'm going to go back to Moloch again, where they were sacrificing, they were burning their children, their firstborns. Often they would sacrifice and give up and burn for Moloch, and God's like, I don't want that. No, but that was something that a lot of the neighboring countries and stuff did. And I shared a little bit about this Abraham and Isaac thing that I read, that I listened to a little bit before too. All right. So that takes us to Deuteronomy chapter 13, a warning against idols. So, yeah. Follow along and, for now, thank you for sharing and liking. I can't see who it was that did that, but thank you, welcome, and hopefully you're reading along. All right. Suppose there are prophets among you, or those who dream dreams about the future, and promise you signs or miracles, and the predicted signs or miracles occur. If they then say, come, let us worship other gods you have not known before, do not listen to them. The Lord your God is testing you to see if you truly love him with all your heart and soul. Serve only the Lord your God and fear him alone. Obey his commands, listen to his voice, and cling to him. The false prophets or visionaries who try to lead you astray must be put to death, for they encourage rebellion against the Lord your God, who redeemed you from slavery and brought you out of the land of Egypt. Since they try to lead you astray from the way the Lord your God commanded you to live, you must put them to death. In this way, you will purge the evil from among you. Suppose someone secretly entices you, even your brother, your son or your daughter, your beloved wife, or your closest friend. It says, let's go worship other gods, gods that neither you nor your ancestors know. They might suggest that you worship the gods of people who live nearby or who come from the ends of the earth, but do not give in or listen. Have no pity and do not spare or protect them. You must put them to death. Strike the first blow yourself, then all the people must join in. Stone the guilty ones to death, because they have tried to draw you away from the Lord your God, who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of slavery. Then all Israel will hear about it and be afraid, and no one will act so wickedly again when you begin living in the towns the Lord your God is giving you. You must hear what the scoundrels among you are leading their fellow citizens astray by saying, let's go worship the other gods, gods you have not known before. In such cases, you must examine the facts carefully. If you find that the report is true, and such detestable acts are being committed among you, you must attack that town and completely destroy all its inhabitants, as well as all the livestock. Then you must pile all the plunder in the middle of the open square and burn it. Burn the entire town as a burnt offering to the Lord your God. That town must remain a ruin forever. It may never be rebuilt. Keep none of the plunder that has been set apart for destruction. Then the Lord will turn from his fierce anger and be merciful to you. He will have compassion on you and make you a large nation, just as he swore to your ancestors. The Lord your God will be merciful only if you listen to his voice and keep all his commandments that I'm giving you today, and do what pleases him. May God add a blessing to the reading of Deuteronomy chapter 13. This is a tough one. I understand it for its time, and I see how they didn't follow through and what the outcome was of not following through. So I can kind of see the big picture here, but man, is this ever hard. And even today, I've been guilty of, taking some of the teeth out of it. Partially because I don't like it. And partially because this was geared towards the people that were establishing the Promised Land. And you and I are likely not in the Promised Land right now. And, as we especially aren't establishing it. So this is difficult, and I don't really know how things have kind of changed as we progress forward. But essentially, this is like, hey, we're coming here, we want to worship God, we want to remove all the idols so they don't mingle in. When they mingle in, slowly people get more and more drawn towards the darkness. They get drawn more and more and more towards, these things that are not of me, where they start selling their children to the sex slave industry, where they start forsaking the lives of others for money, when they start burning their children alive. That is not what I want in my kingdom. And when we start worshiping other gods, that is what will happen. So instead of letting that slowly grow and fester and infect the entire kingdom, cut it off before it starts. I'm going to go to a zombie storyline. I was playing a video game, and the main character gets bit on the arm, and they act really, really quickly. The characters in it, you have the choice. You can either cut off the arm, or ignore it and try to fight it. The hope is, if you cut off the arm around when the infection happens, you do it quick enough that it doesn't start infecting the whole body, eventually creating your body, like bringing death to the whole body. Here, it's okay, you start getting that infection, cut off what's causing that infection, and hopefully it doesn't spread and infect the whole body. One of the things that ends up happening is they don't follow through on this. Some kings do, but there are many kings, the leaders of these people, that end up, welcoming in these other gods. And the whole body gets infected. And exile happens on multiple occasions. God tears it down to rebuild it up once again. So that's the metaphor that's going on here. Cut it off before it infects everything. And I've seen this mindset backfire in a lot of today's ways of doing it, because we have focused on the wrong things being, the things that lead us away from God. We focus on TV shows that, are fairly innocent, ones that we don't understand, and then we vilify. We see that with music. We see that in, a lot of artistic art forms that may not have Christians on the forefront. I've seen that in comic books, and then and even comic book movies, and I end up meeting one of the guys that helped produce all the X-Men movies, and he's like, I made sure there was so much Christ in these movies. And, people just vilify it so easily without really taking concern. Dungeons and Dragons is another prime example where people just got freaked out. It's a story about good and bad, and how the choices that we make impact the world around us. And the desire of the creator is for us to learn, it's better to choose good and stuff. And with that, he was a hardcore Christian. It wasn't about lifting up and, worshiping demons. It was about how to conquer them. Yet, people that didn't understand it just vilified it. Yet, money laundering and cheating and, things that make more sense in our economy are lifted up and heralded as success. The Bible has a lot more to say about money than it has to say, about rock music. And I would actually argue that there's a good chance that it actually, lifts up that creative expression to God in a lot of different ways, like looking at King David. Yeah, he used a harp, but that was how he expressed from his heart. So if, you're going to express from your heart in a rock or a rap way, I think that's more honored in Scripture, right? So we don't want to just vilify things that we don't understand. And when we hear rock music, we don't go, all right, cool, I'm just going to throw out everything. It's what's at the heart of it that matters, right? So if it's, lifting up things that, really go against what God requires of us, what the Ten Commandments are, then yeah, okay, maybe then we cut it off. Some examples like that I've done in my own life. There are certain TV shows that I won't watch. I'll watch The Walking Dead. I love watching wrestling and all that jazz, but I've never seen an episode of what is it, like the House of the Dragon got really, really big. Westeros. I know so much about it. The whole Winter is Coming show. Game of Thrones. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. Because I heard that there was things in there that I'm just like, you know what? That's going to distract me from God, and I don't want to watch that. And I've had a few of those throughout the years, right? That's just one of the bigger ones that people are shocked that I wouldn't watch or get anything out of. But it's like, yeah, no, I don't want it to undermine my relationship with God. And for me, I think it would. And you know what? Rock music to some people might. Rap music to some people might. But then you don't do it. But for other people, it helps them connect to God. Because it's earnest. It's at the heart of it. There's this other part that says everything is allowed, but not everything is beneficial. Or like, think about whether or not it attracts you or distracts you from God. Alright, so I'm going to leave that there. One of the other things I want to talk about is I want to go and read verse 5. Because this is something that has come up a lot in like the election stuff and whatnot. And this is where I've taken the teeth out of it to a degree. The false prophets or visionaries who try to lead you astray must be put to death. For they encourage rebellion against the Lord your God, who redeemed you from slavery and brought you out of the land of Egypt. Since they try to lead you astray from the way the Lord your God commanded you, you must put them to death. In this way, you will purge evil from among you. And like, when we have prophets that are proven to be false and proving to mislead, I more just call for them to lose their jobs, right? Let them lose their circle of influence. I take the teeth out of it because I go, I don't necessarily want them to die. I just want them to lose their influence and lose their jobs. Like, don't platform them anymore type deal. But that is somewhat taking the teeth out of what God's saying there. But yeah. I think that pretty much summarizes a lot of it and kind of my thoughts there. And yes, I'm sorry, I know zombies is not the best analogy for a lot of people. But, you you speak what you know. Zombies are all throughout the Bible. Like, Jesus is in the business of rising people from the dead. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Now, he doesn't rise them back and there's some, like, awful version of what they used to be. And instead, they are more perfect than they used to be. Without sin, this new heavenly body. It's not a body that spreads death, but one that spreads life. Right? So, as we're heading towards, Good Friday and Easter Sunday, I might change my Facebook banner to be like, Jesus is my zombie. Because I like it. But, I also know that's not for everyone. But the heart of it is to glorify God. And not to shy away from those aspects of faith that might, be a little bit more difficult to swallow sometimes. And there is one other section, 18. As I look back down at the Bible, it kind of jumped out at me. The Lord your God will be merciful only if you listen to his voice and keep all his commands that I'm giving you today, doing what he pleases. So there's two things in here. One, the promised land is going to say the promised land only if the people strive to follow those commands, right? The second part there is he will show you mercy when you listen to him. And, you know, when Jesus comes down, there's a clear path for like forgiveness and all of that, but part of it is listening to God, making that choice. Like, Lord, I want to listen to you. So many times we want God to listen to us, but perhaps one of the keys that we see here is us listening to God. Let us pray. AJC, awesome Jesus Christ, so thank you for all the ways that you love us, you guide us, you bless us, you direct us. Lord, with that last bit, help us to hear you, help us to see you, help us to love you. Lord, help us to choose you and not get distracted by things that are not of you. Lord, sorry, I'm getting a phone call and it's distracting me a little bit. Help us to stay listening to you, not just forcing you to listen to us, but help us to listen to you, to hear you, to read you, to spend time with you, purposefully and intentionally. Lord, also, if there is something in our lives that is causing us to sin and leading us away from you, help us to realize what it is and help give us the strength to cut it off. To cut it out. Help us to love you with all of our heart, mind, strength, and soul, and to love others as ourselves, to love others as you have loved us. Help us, Lord, to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with you. In Jesus' mighty and powerful name. Amen. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the day. God bless. Bye.